Hello, everybody. Welcome to the last talk before the lunch break. And it looks like a very interesting talk, which will be from Bobby, who is a senior business analyst and consultant at MentorMate. And his talk will be AI image generation, visual artistry with Midjourney, Adobe Firefly, and DALL-E3. So, Bobby, if you are ready, I'll leave the stage to you.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm very glad to be here and to present today the topic of visual artistry with Midjourney and Adobe Firefly. Mainly, we'll also explore a bit about DALL-E. Um, but before we start, I will introduce myself in more details. I'm a senior business analyst at MentorMate, but I'm also a AI product manager. I've been working in the AI field since 2018, so about 6 years, more than 6 years now. My background is in software development. I have a few years of experience as a project and product manager, and then I entered the AI field as a consultant and product manager. Nowadays, I'm also doing a PhD on artificial intelligence, more specifically on synthetic data, simulation models, and digital twins. And the goal I have for this session today is I hope to give you a good understanding of how AI image generation models work, what their evolution is. So we'll explore some, we're going to see how in the past 2 years or so things changed and evolved. And it's very interesting to see the differences in the models from 2 years till now, from 2 years ago. And we also do a comparison on the different tools. As I said, mainly Midjourney, which is my tool of choice, but we also see some comparison with Adobe Firefly. And at the end, during the live demo, we can also check DALL-E if we have time. In the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And towards the end of the presentation, I'll try to answer as many as I can, as many as time allows, of course. The best thing is, in addition to questions, I would like to invite you throughout the presentation to give me ideas on specific images that you want to see generated live during the demo at the end. I will show you some images that I have generated. I will generate some images live in front of you, but I'm also inviting you to give me your ideas. So if there's time, I will choose a few ideas from the chat and we'll see them generated live. Okay. As a starting point, I want to make the disclaimer that this is not a technical workshop. What I mean by this is that I'm not going to be explaining the technical details of how image generation models are trained or how they actually work, but I will be explaining more the UI of the tools that I already mentioned, so you can, as quickly as possible, start generating images yourself if you haven't done so already. And throughout the presentation, you'll see some generated images, and you will see, yeah, there will be a lot of visual stuff, obviously. If you see anything bothersome, don't blame it on me. The models are not mine, and it's not. I'm just showing you here, and it's all purely for educational purposes. um, okay, let's start this. First, we're going to explore very little of the theoretical background. So I hope I don't lose you here. It's just a bit of theory, just to show you how this field has evolved in the past decade or two. So even though image generation is something that we have seen a boom of in the past couple of years, really in 2022, there was so much discussion around possibilities and the ethical complications and considerations of generating images, and the discussion keeps on going till today. But this is nothing new. We just reached a point where the images look photorealistic, and we're going to see this in a bit, the evolution. But it's nothing new because researchers and experts have been trying to get here for quite some time. And here to the left, we see an image from a scientific paper from 2006 describing autoencoders. And autoencoders were one of the first algorithms that were designed towards and used towards generating images. So let me explain in a simple way. I'm going to try to oversimplify this, so even folks who are not who don't have technical background can hopefully understand. Imagine the autoencoders as a magical organizer. What does this mean? You have a closet, for example, full with clothes, old things. You know, it's a mess. It's like this. And even though it's a big mess and it's very chaotic, you have a magical organizer who can every time you put something in the closet, they know what exactly that thing is and how it looks like and where its exact position is. And it can immediately, even if you reassemble the closet, the magical organizer will be able to assemble it again in its original state. So even though it was a mess, it knows how to put it back together. So this metaphor, now try to think about it within an image. An image can be a mess of pixels, a mess of colors, shapes, shadows. And autoencoders try to encode and then decode. There's an encoder and a decoder. They try to encode and decode the image, trying to recreate a fuzzy image into its original state. So, hope this makes sense. If it doesn't, it doesn't matter that much for the rest of the presentation. But just keep in mind, the important thing is it's nothing that new. Then CNNs came around a bit later. I think still around 2010. We had some CNNs 2012 even. CNNs, the abbreviation stands for convolutional neural networks. And this is an image of a paper from 2015. And those of you who have been following the field might remember that in 2015 there was this thing, a big discussion on the so-called deep dreams, AI dreams. It's because scientists from I think MIT, yeah, they used a convolutional neural network to generate completely new images from scratch. So autoencoders were trying to recreate an existing image. Here, with CNNs, scientists tried to create something totally new. And the results were horrific. to say it mildly. As you can see, the created images weren't just a proper photorealistic image, not even an artistic rendition. They were images consisting of other images. So if we look a bit closer in the details here, we see that there are images constructing the bigger image. So here, for example, we have these small doors that build up the bigger ones. So yeah, it's, as I said, it's very abstract, very horrific. We don't need to dwell too much into it, too much on it, but yeah, it was weird. But this was the first time that we saw something generated completely from scratch. Okay. And then we have GANs. GANs were a big thing. They still are. GANs stand for Generative Adversarial Network. And the GAN to... Oh, wait, I forgot to give you the... wait. I forgot to give you the metaphor here, how to remember CNNs. Sorry about that. Just forget about GANs for a second. CNNs, remember them as an assembly line approach. So think of a factory and you have an assembly line, and the CNN basically works by identifying small parts of an image. So, or even generating just very small parts. So it can, one station on the assembly line can specialize in colors, another can specialize in small shapes or shadows, and a third one can specialize in the bigger silhouettes of the object that we are trying to illustrate. So think of it like this. It works on small chunks of the image, and each station expands on the work of the previous ones. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about GANs and why this is important. GANs were, even though as machine learning algorithms, they're not new, they were one of the first to be used to train models that can get to something useful. So the images generated by GANs weren't that photorealistic, but GANs are very good at expanding upon existing images. So here in this example from this paper, we can see how a GAN is able to paint a drawing. So here we have a sketch of a cat, and it paints it to look a bit more real. Here we have a sketch of a woman's face, and the GAN is able to turn it into a painting, or at least something resembling one. But the biggest, the most popular applications of GANs were recoloring. So look at this person and the background behind him. Or here we have, I think this is Adele. It cuts away the background, right? So this was a very useful application a few years ago. And to understand how GANs work and try to remember them, think of an art forger and an art detective. So GANs consist of two networks. And in the metaphor I'm going to give you, imagine the art forger tries to come up with the best fake possible, while the art detective is trying to detect all the fake images generated by the art forger. So they're in a continuous competition with each other. So the art forger is trying to fool the detective, and the detective is trying to catch the forger in their steps. And these competing networks, or the forger and the detective, compete until they reach a state of perfection where most of the time the forger is able to consistently fool the detective what's real and what's fake. Or it could also be the other way around, when the detective is always consistently figuring out when an image is fake, even if it looks real. So that's how we have some applications, but they don't work that well. Some applications for detecting problems in images, anomalies. Okay, and finally we get to diffusion models, and that's what allowed us to have this explosion of photorealistic generated images. Diffusion models they're also not that new. Here's a diagram explaining how portion of it works from a paper dating from 2020. So diffusion models, what they do is remember autoencoders, how oops how they have encoder and decoder. So they first blur the image and then they try to get it back to something resembling the first one as much as possible, the initial one. Well, the diffusion model does basically a very similar job, but much better. And instead of just blurring the image a bit, they completely destroy it. So um, there's a process of introducing white noise to an image, and then the diffusion model tries to recreate a new image by gradually, slowly removing the noise. So here we have um, this denoising process where we start with a white noise blurred image and we slowly start removing the white noise and trying to shape an image underneath. That's how the diffusion model works. Okay, this was all the theory, I promise. From now on, I'm gonna only show you cool generated images. So I hope I didn't lose you yet. So recent developments. Let's see how things have changed recently. So there was a reason why I went through this journey of showing you the various models that have emerged in the past couple of decades. Because most of the image generation applications that we see nowadays are based on diffusion models. And here's a quick example of how a diffusion model works in real life, right? This is Midjourney. So we start with the blurred image. Here it's not even from the beginning, but this is around 10% of the work of the on the model. Then if we want to generate this, if we want to get to this final result, these are the steps that it goes through. And in Midjourney, you can see the different steps of the model by using the command -- stop and then giving it a percentage number. So these are 10 stages of that process. And as you can see, it's initially just removing the blurriness and shaping the overall silhouette, and then it starts adding more and more details. Okay, now let's look at the evolution of the model. This is ugly, I know. But I decided to show you 3 examples. So we're going to see 3 main examples of how the different algorithms evolved in the past couple of years. So the first example is an image of a person. I wanted to generate an elderly French woman with deep wrinkles and a warm smile sitting in a charming Soho cafe filled with plants, looking out the window, wearing a bright pastel linen blazer and floral silk blouse. So Midjourney version 1, dating March 2022, so more than 2 years now, was able to generate this ugly thing. Doesn't even look like a proper human silhouette. Midjourney version 2, just a month later, was able to more accurately produce a human silhouette, but the details are horrific. I'm going to change it, it's ugly. Version 3 in July 2022 was a bit better. It managed to actually add some more details in the background here. Well, that's not really the background, but in the plant and her clothing, but still the face is terrible. And then this is when the boom started, when all the news channels started showing AI generated images and talking about how things are going either really good or really bad, depending on the news channel. But this is when things started really drawing people's attention. And this is when I also started using Midjourney. In November 2022, when things went from this to this. And you can see the difference. It's not perfect, but it's really good, especially compared to the old version. This looks like an oil painting, kinda. There's a bit of a problem here with her glasses, maybe a bit on the eyes, but it's good. And it's for the first time, it's actually able to follow the prompt. So she does have bright pastel linen blazer and floral silk blouse. And she's looking out the window, right? There are plants around her. For the first time, we have something that actually follows it. So this was November 22. Big jump, right? Get ready for another jump. This is Midjourney version 5, dating 1 year ago, March 2023, more than a year ago. And here we are now starting to talk about actual photorealism. Again, it's not perfect. The anatomy is a bit weird in some places. But honestly, if you don't know that this is a AI generated image, and you see it especially in small scale, like a thumbnail, most people won't even think twice that that's a real image. Big jump, right, in the quality. And at the same time, March 2023, Adobe Firefly released its first version of its model for generating images. Now I need to talk just for a bit on the differences between these tools. Midjourney is a proprietary software, and you need a subscription to use it. Adobe Firefly is Adobe's property, and it's been trained completely on Adobe Adobe stock images. So Midjourney's dataset is for training is secret. We don't know what images they've been using. They say it's been only public. They've only used publicly available images. There were some scandals there, but Adobe, at least we know that they're using only the images that they own. So their own Adobe stock images. Midjourney requires a subscription to use. It's not super expensive, but for $10 a month, I think you can use it a lot. While Adobe Firefly is still free in the web version. They initially said it's going to be free just for the beta, but it's still free, I believe. Yeah. In October 2023, we got Adobe Firefly version 2, which finally got to the level that we wanted. Here in the first version, it wasn't that good. The face looks weird. The blouse and the blazer are reversed in style of how I described them. But here they're in the right style following the prompt. So much better. Also, I want to point out the difference in the diversity here. Adobe Firefly from the get-go pushed a lot for using or generating people who are not just plain just normal common white images of white people, which is the majority of what you find on the internet most probably. So Adobe Firefly tried to push for higher level of diversity, and we'll see some examples of that in a bit. Midjourney version 6 This is the newest model, officially released in February 2024. Got to a whole new level. The level of details in the background is exquisite. And honestly, at this point, we can barely find a reason to think this is not a real image. The newest version of Adobe, version 3, dating April 2024, gets a bit more a more artistic feel and style. It's not that photorealistic, I would say, but it's good. The level of details is amazing. Okay, let's observe the same journey of evolution on the second example, which is a more simple prompt: a lake in the mountain, beautiful landscape, bright sky. Midjourney version 1, try to get there, the water looks weird, the sky looks okay-ish. Version 2, the sky looks better, the trees look okay-ish, the water doesn't look that good. Version 3, they try to recreate reflection in the water, but it doesn't look real. And then version 4, this big jump, remember? Version 4 from November 2022, very artisty, looks like an oil painting. And then version 5 looks like a mobile phone camera image. Very good level of detail in the sky, the reflection in the water, the trees. Adobe Firefly, the first version, the sun looks a bit weird, not that good. Version 2, much better, and the grass is good, the water still not perfect though. Midjourney version 6, the latest one, looks like a DSLR camera image at this point. The lighting, the shadows, it's just great. And the latest version of Adobe Firefly, again, as I said, a bit more artisty style, more arty. It's not as if taken by a real camera. It looks edited. The colors are a bit too bright, too contrasty. And for the third example, I decided to show you an image of an object, and I went for a burger. So for those of you who don't eat meat or are against it, please bear with me. So here I wanted to have an image of a burger with egg, tomatoes, green salad, ketchup, pickles, a proper bread and juicy meat, etc. And there's a bowl of French fries next to the burger. That's the prompt that I gave it. Midjourney version 1 and 2 that don't look like anything that you would want to eat. Looks like plastic even, honestly. Version 3 looks again like something you don't want to eat, but at least it starts to look like spoiled food or something. Version 4, the big jump in quality, but very much like an oil painting, starts to look okay-ish. Version 5, it's like it came out of a burger commercial. Very good, and it's properly following the prompt. Midjourney version 1 didn't look that good. Version 2, better, but still not great. Latest Midjourney version, very photorealistic, and it kind of makes me hungry. I don't know about you. And the latest Adobe Firefly looks quite good again. The lighting is not as dramatic as with Midjourney, but it looks good. Okay, now let's very quickly look at some of the more niche model evolutions that we have observed. Probably you have all heard about the problem of image generation. One of the big problems, and that's generating hands. So AI struggles a lot with hands. So here I try to illustrate the evolution. Midjourney version 1 and 2, I'm not going to even give you an example because it's pointless. As you can see, version 3 doesn't look like anything. It looks like a blob of human flesh. It's terrible. Version 4 adds a bunch of fingers to each hand. So we know that occasionally AI can generate images of hands with additional fingers. Well, this is why we know that. Like this is when the memes started. It just adds like 2, 3, 4 fingers to each hand, additional fingers. Version 5, not great. We have some weird stuff happening here, but much better. The first version of Adobe Firefly, I want to again draw your attention to the diversity. So when I'm asking Midjourney, it's all hands of male white men. Here we have a woman's hand or a female-looking hand and a hand of a person of color. So big push for diversity by Firefly. Firefly version 2 went even further, where we have a male-looking hand with nail polish. But still extra fingers are present. Not great. And finally, Midjourney version 6, the latest one, doesn't add extra fingers. Occasionally, you can still see an image with extra fingers, but it's mostly intact with 5 fingers. The latest Adobe also has the right amount of fingers, and again, we see a lot more diverse level, a higher level of diversity between the people that we see. Because I haven't specified, I just said 2 business leaders, right? Midjourney just assumes that 2 business leaders means white men. Adobe Firefly pushes for this diversity. So an interesting take on this. We're going to see more in a second. Faces are also something that the model struggled a lot, and this is why. Look at Midjourney version 3. When I ask it to give me a close-up of a group of adults with clearly visible faces and eyes, it's not even humans. I don't know what that is. It's some weird wooden thing, I guess. I don't know. Version 4, very artisty. Looks a bit weird, but it's good, at least. It looks like a human. Version 5, the second big jump in quality, it gives us actual human faces. Adobe Firefly, again, look at the diversity. Even though here we have, again, more diversity with Midjourney version 5, but here it's whole new level, and I love it. Adobe Firefly version 2 generated this music band kind of looking people. And also, by the way, not exaggerating, with the exact same prompt in Midjourney version 2, I got this image. So a group of adults with clearly visible faces and eyes sometimes produced dogs. So yeah, funny. Version 6, finally we get to a very diverse level, a very good level of diversity, not only on the skin color, the gender, but also finally in age. So they're finally not the same age. We see some more elderly people here. And Firefly, this is version 3. This is a mistake. Yeah, that looks creepy. As I said, the latest Firefly version is more artistry. So very quickly, because we are running out of time and I want to show you real life demo. We have just 10 minutes left. I'm gonna quickly go through some additional features of these tools. So we can zoom out. If this is the originally generated image, we can say expand upon it. Or we can even give it a real image, not AI generated, and just ask it to expand it. So this is like zooming out of the image. And it can zoom out a lot. So here, zoom out 1, 1.5, and 2. So it adds extra details, extra people in this case even. And it can also describe images. So we can go the other way around. Instead of generating images, we can ask it to describe the images for us. Let's see. This is the image and this is the original prompt. And when I asked Midjourney to describe it, this is what it gave me. So yeah, this is the description of the image. It's kind of okay. It adds a bit of extra description that I wouldn't think of putting myself there, like politics and yeah, specific style of clothing. And when you ask it to generate an image with the description it provided, it gives me this. So not too far, it's kind of the same style. So it's very good with the description. And what we can use this process for is have an image, describe it with the model, and then use the same description to generate more similar images. Okay, we can also generate images in different aspect ratios, or we can say, we can tell the algorithm to exclude specific parts and not to generate something. We can also create images that can be repeatable in vertical or horizontal line, and this is great for tapestry, for example. So next time you're redecorating your home, you can use this for your wall decoration. And we can also see the process of generating it. Remember the diffusion model? Yeah. We can also in Paint. What does this mean? Well, we have this image and we can say, change the path to a river. Or we can select this part here and say, give me a hot air balloon. And it generates this. It doesn't touch the rest of the image, just the selected area. Or a castle. And it gives you this. We can also specify specific things, how they should be separate from each other within the image. So if we say a spaceship, it will generate a sci-fi ship. If we say space, : ship, it will generate a wooden medieval ship in space. So it looks at the two things separately. Now, industry applications. This is an example of a goblin warrior that I decided to generate for game or concept design, because I've spoken with some game development studios or designer studios, and they all say that this saves them a lot of time, those that are using such models. One example that I heard was a client comes and asks for 100 goblins. 2 years ago, we would have to, that's what they say, we would have to draw the goblins by hand, 100 of them. Now it takes an hour or two to generate them with the AI and just fix them a bit. And that's just for concept art, right? For prototyping. We can use the same for example, a high-tech city, or even for a logo. So next time you're developing a new mobile application, for your prototype at least, before you get to a point where you can afford hiring a real designer, a human designer, you can use this. And the logo looks great. I asked it to give me a logo of a mobile fantasy RPG game. Or we can even generate characters for a commercial, like this one for Coca-Cola that I generated. We can even use it for ideas on decoration, interior design, or fashion design. This dress, totally AI generated, can give us ideas. Or even product design. Look at this case for an iPhone. Or furniture design. Just look at the level of details on this wardrobe. Amazing. We can even generate complex images for, I don't know, for books, for covers, for ideas, for even movies or stories. Look at this. It's a very complicated prompt, but the image is just perfect. It's as if it came out of a Japanese anime. Very often I get the question when I talk about image generation, whether it can be used for web design. It can, but it's ugly. The layout is okay, but it's not, like a designer would say that it can be better aligned, probably. The padding here and there could be better. And if we ignore the images that they just look disjointed and ugly, yeah, it can be, but only if you're stuck. And now the more interesting things of late is the character reference. Until recently, we weren't able to reuse the same character and generate multiple images of the same character. Why is this important? So think of generating a concept of a comic book. We couldn't have the same characters appear. Now we can. And here's an example. I generated these images of a robot. Original prompt is this. And then I said, give me the same robot or similar robot painting or on the International Space Station. So it's possible. Now, very quickly, I'm going to go through the ethical concerns. Wow, time flies really quickly. This can be used for fake news, as you can imagine, and it is already being used for fake news. There was a scandal last year where images of, I think last year, where images of Donald Trump were circling around, where fake images, that is, that depicted him being arrested. And it was so fake. So in a world with such photorealistic images, be aware that a lot of what we see might not be true. And finally, demo time. We have just a couple of minutes. I'm gonna very quickly show you something cool. And yeah, I don't see any questions, but if you have questions, now is the time to shoot them. This is the how Midjourney's UI works. This is basically Discord. For those of you who have used Discord, this will be familiar. Discord is a separate program in which you use the Midjourney bot. And to use it, we just type imagine, and here we use a prompt. I'm going to just copy paste an existing prompt that I have, just so you can see how it works in the last couple of minutes. So I'm asking it to give me an image of Batman and the comic style, and we can see how it works. And why is this important? It can generate things that are completely new. Here I generated an image of a dog, as you can see. It's a golden retriever with majestic fur, and it looks cute. Great doggo. But we can also generate things that are popular pop culture. So like this comic book style Batman. And it even gives us a female Batman. Why not? I haven't specified that it has to be male. So yeah, I'm gonna generate something else now just for this. Remember the cool anime image? Let's see if it's gonna, I think this is the same prompt as this one. And I'm gonna also put another image to be generated in the last 1 minute. Earlier this year, I organized an event where with my friends, we went to a dog shelter to walk dogs. And for that event, I used this prompt to generate an image. So why not? You can use this in your daily life for anything. I didn't specify the aspect ratio here, but we can see it's gonna be pretty. Here it is. It's like for the fans of anime in the audience, I think you'll appreciate this. And the image of dogs. Finally, just as a final prompt, while we wait for the dog image, I'm gonna use this prompt to generate a really cool image of a model. You're gonna see it in a second. I see a question. What about ethical stuff concerning AI stealing artists' art? It is a concern, yeah. Well, my take very quickly in the last 30 seconds is that AI is just, you are using AI to teach the model, to use images. If I'm looking at an artist and I learn from the artist's style and learn to do something on my own, is this stealing? Yeah, there's no definition. Thank you. Connect with me on LinkedIn. This is the QR code.
Thank you so much, Bobby. I let you use your time until the very end because we had only one question, but now we are really at the end of our time. It was
Mhm.
really very interesting. It was exciting to see from starting from the early versions of all these tools, and at that point we have arrived right now. Thanks a lot for this interesting talk, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you. See ya.
So.